Wildcard and I hurried about the Liberty Science Center as it emptied to enjoy the largest and most noticeable of the exhibits, most of which could be played with or at least toggled in some manner. We only had so many minutes, and then we needed to get out before security could begin to herd us towards the entrance, or ask questions about why someone was loitering about past closing hours whilst coincidentally wearing a ski mask. Once outside, we affected to head towards the bus station, and then started to walk along the sidewalk, and then eventually snuck deeper into the park and over a fence into the relative safety of an abandoned and overgrown railway station. That was awesome. I can't believe I let you talk me into doing that.
I thought he sounded exhilarated for all that it had been so small a thing. Except it hadn't been a small thing, had it? Not for him. Hey, I'm good at this! The talking into and the going incognito parts, both.
Sure you are.
You've never done anything like that?
Never. And that's saying something, given that I disobeyed the rules set forth by my family every day of my life by coming to the surface. When I was young, I apparently tottered away from my mom and bumped into some woman who broke out screaming. Made a big scene. Maybe it left an impression on me.
They screamed? What a bunch of silly nits! I guess they were just really startled. I pressed my hands over my mouth and giggled to myself, peering through the station's dark roof and imagining a bunch of prim women making horrified, indignant facial expressions and squealing, "What in heaven's name is wrong with that child?"
Yes, because something looked horribly wrong with me.
Nothing's wrong with you. You're perfect. Go with me to a movie tomorrow.
What? No. This was a one-time only thing. Ever. I still can't believe I let you talk me into it.
Exactly, which is why we must go to the movies during the day.
I'm not going anywhere during the day. Are you crazy, Wild? I can't even come up here at all.
No. You misunderstand the brilliance of this plan. Movie theaters only have people in them at night. And even then, they really only have people on the weekends at night. If you want the theater and the entire area around the theater to be basically deserted, you have to go on a school day shortly after the theater opens, which is usually about noon. It would be the same basic plan as today. I'd chat up the ticket seller while you follow me awkwardly from behind. Theaters usually have a no unaccompanied minors policy, so we're basically passing you off as my 18-year-old brother since you're so tall. So you have to be in sight but not close enough that you're expected to say anything or to pay. If it goes awry, then I'm the only one she's seen, so we just boogie. If it works, there will literally be like 2 or 3 other people in the entire room with us at maximum, and they won't be sitting anywhere near us. We can just sit in the front where no one wants to be anyway, and then literally no one will have a chance to see your face. It was just an idea. I'm sorry. I won't whine and frustrate you like the last time. It was just an idea.
I haven't been able to go anywhere my entire life, Wild. Even with my mother. It wasn't safe. That doesn't suddenly change because you want it to, no matter how convincing you can be.
He almost sounded hurt. Sandro stared at me quietly, arms draped over his knees. After a long moment, he turned his head away, and I could see him swallow heavily. That was when I realized he was scared. I'm sorry for tempting you into doing dangerous things, for not thinking about your feelings.
Sandro bristled a bit at the contact, but then didn't move away or say anything or shove me over.
What movie did you want to see, by the way?
I wasn't sure. I think watching superhero movies must be ill-advised for children in our position, as they would probably give us unrealistic expectations about how big explosions ought to be in real life. So I was thinking of seeing some science fiction instead, because I know the explosions depicted are fictional and not based on a true story.
You were thinking about the new Star Wars movie.
It's apparently about—
I know what it's about.
Come on, Sourpuss, let's get up and go for a jog. If we find a spot with good moonlight, we can spar. Also, you'll feel better because you have a longer stride than me, and I'll totally be out of breath.
But out of the two of us, I ran more often, and he lived in a sewer, so actually we'd probably keep an even pace. We did find a nice place to spar and train for the evening.
Ha! Sloppy landing. Oof. We need to come here more often.
Keep your voice down, loudmouth.
Oh, yeah. Today's shirt was blue. Hi.
That flip was cool.
Ooh, wait, watch this, too. Unless I mess it up, in which case you saw nothing.
That's neat. I can only do like one handspring.
Wait, you can do what now? I demand to see.
Do I have to? I might fall and you'll laugh at me.
Of course, I laugh at everything. Show me.
Let me stretch first.
I thought this was probably a good idea and went off to find where I'd lobbed my backpack to obtain some water for both of us. I turned, about to see him ready to run to rejoin me, and sat down to watch attentively. He crossed the field at a sprint. As it turned out, he could absolutely do a handspring, though his landing was a little rocky.
Oof! You made that look easy.
I don't have a shell. I watched. You curl forward fine, but you obviously have a really tough time flexing backwards because of that shell. So you have to push off much harder with your arms to give yourself enough time to spin upright. Try to think of it more asymmetrically.
Thanks.
I have been practicing my stance on a gymnastics balance beam all afternoon. See if I've got it.
Sandro had been drilling me on very basic stances, offensive lunges, and defensive footwork. Usually rote movements irritated me, but this had been interesting. Truthfully, it was something of a wonder I'd taken so long to grow an interest in martial arts of all things. Maybe I'd never previously felt like I needed it. Not until Sandro had been able to flatten me.
You picked this up fast.
Well, I should hope so. Seeing as all I do every day is exercise and copy other people's moves, I'd be a little disappointed with myself if I was progressing slowly.
Sandro paused and then unexpectedly reached up from where he was sitting and took my arms up in his hands and squeezed my biceps and forearms. I grinned when I realized he'd never had any other basis of comparison for what physically fit looked like in a normal child his own age. So, for your info, my arms have definition to them, and that's extremely rare for a 13-year-old girl. I didn't bother stressing again how huge he was.
What sort of exercises?
I guess a bit of everything? Recently, it's mostly gymnastics, since I have access to all the equipment not far from home. I used to play outside in the warehouse district and spy on the skate park boys. I like moving. I suppose I'm not particular about how. I do roof and alleyway runs while waiting for it to get dark enough for you to come topside.
How long have you been at this, Wild?
Well, what this do you mean exactly? I used to play ice hockey from about the time I was 6, and I always exercised hard for that. I only quit about a year and a half ago.
Why? Aside from not being tall enough, of course.
Well, while everyone else was growing competitive, I was growing irritated. It was hogging up all my time. Also, I didn't feel like I was getting any better, just same old, same old. I think my dad blames himself, but I was already more interested in playing in the street by myself than playing on a team. Maybe I'm too independent. Oh, I brought something to show you, which I just remembered.
More knives?
Throwing stars! I've never used them before, but I picked them up from a hobby store today. They're not sharpened, and they're not that great, but I was trying to think of something that I could lob at you that wouldn't really cause any injury.
Are you going to ask me to bring weapons tomorrow and deflect throwing stars?
Maybe?
Joke's on you, Wild. I can actually do that. Prepare for your inevitable defeat.
Woohoo! You're on, big guy. I will decimate you.
Unlikely. But for now, put those away and show me your footwork again. The two of us got back to the city a little late, and morning birds were calling betimes we'd reached recognizable streets. The sunrise wasn't threatening yet, but it couldn't be far off. I am probably going to have to make up a story about falling into a reservoir. Maybe I should dunk myself in sewage to prove it.
I'll start setting alarms on my phone. What time do we normally want to get home by? We need to sort that out first.
I'll sleep on that. Anna?
I thought he looked unexpectedly excited.
It won't work today. My parents will be home soon, and you said the weekend was a bad idea, so if you want to see the Star Wars movie, it has to be Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, and if I don't call you back as soon as you send a text over the next few days, it's not 'cause I'm ignoring you or anything. I might just have to leave later in the evening because of additional oversight.
Well, go on then, stupid. Don't get caught. Go!